Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we'll review the highlights of this week's course of Daf Yomi study, Masechet Bava Metzia, pages 25 through 31. On Daf Chafei 25, we're talking about those places where a person might put something and the chances of them recovering it are very slim or non-existent. And so we have Ashpa Asuya Lehipanot, a trash heap which is typically, or on a regular schedule, cleared out, that the contents are removed. Aveda midati is considered something you deliberately lose. If you place something in a trash heap that you know the sanitation department is going to pick up on a regular basis, you're not going to get it back. If it was ashpa shenayasule panot, a trash heap that is not regularly cleared away, then you might reasonably expect that if you put something there today, it'll be there next week. But aveda midat is an example where I lose hope of getting it back because I have no intention of getting it back. I know it's going to be gone. Chafaf 26. Matzah b'chanut, hare elu shelo. If you find coins in a store, you get to keep it. You, the customer, who are a visitor to that store. B'nateva lachanvani shel chanvani. However, if the coins are between the counter and the shopkeeper, who usually sits in front of his wares and reaches back to get them, shel chanvani, those coins that appear there are for sure the property of the storekeeper, and you can't, if you see them, you can't pick them up and take them. Lifnei shulchan shelo. If you go to a money changer who sits behind the table, then if there's coins in front of the table, you could keep it. It's fine. You could keep it. However, if you find coins between the table and the money changer where he's sitting, the money changer owns those. So this is common sense that if the coins are in the close proximity of the balabayas, of the proprietor, you're not supposed to grab them. But if they're in a place where the customers would have dropped them and there's 1,001 customers and you can never tell whose they were, then the finder gets to keep them. 27. Amar Rava. Im timtza lomar simanim lav deoraita. Heichem adrina naverita b'simanim. There's a question in the Talmud whether or not simanim, identifying features, markers, that are used by a person to claim that a certain item is theirs. They identify the simanim to the finder, and all of a sudden the finder recognizes, that must be the real owner. I'll give it back to him. If we say that that method is actually not mandated by the Torah, then how does it work? How does the finder have permission under Torah law to give back these articles to a guy who's identifying the simanim? And the Gemara's answer is actually a very fascinating answer. It says, Nichale motze aveda denader b'simanim, ki echad avdel leididei na mehadr b'simanim. It's in the interests of the finder of a lost article to give back an item on the basis of someone who claims to be the owner identifying the simanim, because that way, when the finder of this article happens to himself lose an article and somebody else finds it, he's able to recover his lost property by way of the simanim. So what comes around goes around. It's good for the world. 28. Chavchet. Ad matay chayav lahachritz. For how long a period of time do you have to announce that you found a lost article? So, Rabbi Meir says until the neighbors know about it. So that's not a precise amount of time. It's a social reality. Rabbi Yehuda says shalosh regalim. You have to wait 3 festivals, pilgrimage festivals. And after the 3rd pilgrimage festival, wait another 7 days. That the person who lost the item can go back to his house for 3 days travel, then come back to the place of the finder for 3 days, and call it out for a day. So 3 plus 3 plus 1 equals 7 days beyond the Shalosh Regalim, the 3 pilgrimage festivals. All this in an effort to return a lost article to its original owner. 29. Matzah Sforim. What happens if you find books? Well, we're talking not necessarily about books, but rather scrolls. And scrolls, if they're not used, turn to bad condition. So you should read the books once every 30 days. What if you're illiterate and you don't know how to read? Back in the old days, a lot of people were illiterate. So go on, you can just do Galila, roll them. Just make sure that the ink gets fresh air, that it's not going to become stale and musty and dusty. However, you should not learn from this book for the first time, meaning it be new material for you, because then you might be tempted to really engage with the text and you might damage it in the process. And another person shouldn't read it with you because then you might fight over the physical text and tear it by accident, and that would be a real problem. 30. Lamed. Vita lamta. There are times when the Torah permits a person who is a finder of a lost article to turn the blind eye to this article. What are these situations? If a Kohen finds something in a cemetery, well, he's religiously prohibited from entering a cemetery. Therefore, he has to simply keep on walking and not pick it up. Or Zaken al-Fikvodo, if you're an elder, and it would be indecent for this person to pick up this lost article. When I was in high school, which was in the late 1990s, my Rabbi, when we learned Bava Metzia, said it would be like if a Rosh Yeshiva found a Metallica CD on the floor. It would be sort of indecent for the Rosh Yeshiva to be picking up that kind of music and be holding it in his hands and be seen with it. So therefore, he could let it be. Or the third category, if it's going to cost me money from my livelihood to disrupt my activities to pick up and take care of your lost article, and my loss is greater than your gain would have been. In that situation, I can sort of turn the blind eye like I never saw the lost article. Lamed Aleph, 31. Patoach tiftach. The Torah tells us we have to give to the needy. So I might have thought it only applies to the poor people who live in my city, that I have some solemn responsibility to the impoverished people who live in my locale. And how do I know that my responsibility of charity extends to people who live far away? The Torah says, open up your hands, mikol makom, in any event, meaning regardless of the geographic circumstance of the poor person, you have a responsibility to engage in efforts to help this person to alleviate their poverty, to open up your hand and be generous. Everyone have a great week.